Hello, fellow nostalgic lovers. Have you ever sat in front of your old black and white TV or the first color screen in your house with a cup of fragrant coffee and let your soul drift away with the emotional stories of In the Heat of the Night? That show, from 1988 to 1995, was not only a crime series but also a vivid picture of life, of people facing prejudice, pain, and their own hearts. Today, I want to take you back to Sparta, Mississippi, where characters like Bill Gillespie, Virgil Tibbs, or Lonnie Jameson made us laugh, cry, and think. But behind the halo, many of the stars of the film quietly left us, leaving behind stories that were both splendid and heartbreaking. Join me, as a film journalist, in discovering the secrets, joys, and sorrows of the 10 stars who made this film. Let's start with Carroll O'Connor, who brings us Bill Gillespie, the tough but principled sheriff. Born on August 2, 1924, Carroll was 64 when he entered In the Heat of the Night. Gillespie is a complex character, gruff on the outside, but a heart fighting for justice in a town full of prejudice. I remember watching him on screen at night, his eyes steadfast and filled with deep sadness. Were you as fascinated by this star as I was? In real life, Carroll suffered an indescribable amount of pain. His son, Hugh O'Connor, who also starred in the film, struggled with addiction. In 1995, Hugh took his own life, leaving Carroll in a state of unrelenting grief. One story I heard, during a shoot, Carroll sat quietly in the corner of the set, holding a family photo, his eyes red. "I just want to save him," he whispered, as if to himself. The pain drove him to speak out against drugs, but his heart seemed broken. He was known for being a perfectionist, sometimes at odds with his colleagues, but his talent was always respected. Carroll died of a heart attack on June 21, 2001, at the age of 76, leaving behind a legacy that was both glorious and scarred. Every time I watch Gillespie, I see a man who lived life to the fullest, despite his deep wounds. Do you feel the weight of his performance?
I had given notice that she would not come back. He was the new Freddie Silverman over there in those days. Robert Taylor went to Leah, and Leah said, "No, we wouldn't let it go on." Again, he said, "Carroll, will you do something? Will you go and see Norman?"
Howard E. Rollins Jr. brought life to the character of Virgil Tibbs, the intelligent, resilient detective in the Heat of the Night. Born on October 17, 1950, Howard, then 38 years old, brought Virgil a strong and proud vitality. Virgil was not only a character but also a symbol of steadfastness in the face of prejudice, a black man who dared to stand up for justice. I still remember the evenings watching Virgil on screen, his eyes sharp as a wordless declaration. Were you touched by this role like me? However, in real life, Howard had to fight his own demons. Alcoholism and drug addiction gradually pulled him away from the spotlight. There is a story I once heard. On a night shoot, Howard came in with tired eyes, but when the camera started, he perfectly transformed into Virgil, a lively and attractive image. "He was a miracle," said a colleague, but that didn't save him. Legal troubles and stints in rehab overshadowed his career. Howard died on December 8, 1996, at age 46, of complications from AIDS. Though his life was short, his role as Virgil Tibbs remains immortal, a flame that never goes out. Do you think he could have gone further if he had overcome the darkness?
And really the idea in my mind of, wow, Carroll O'Connor, at this point in one's career, you want to be associated with successes. But me being able to carry my part of the show, and for us.
Let's remember Hugh O'Connor, who brought the character of Lieutenant Lonnie Jameson in the Heat of the Night with all sincerity and warmth. Born on April 7, 1962, Hugh joined the film when he was only 26 years old, but quickly made the audience love him with the image of a dedicated, trustworthy policeman who always stood firm in the turmoil of the town of Sparta. Lonnie was the friend everyone wanted, quiet, persistent, and never wavering between right and wrong. I still remember those nights watching the movie, seeing his gentle smile. I felt like I was sitting next to a familiar person. And you, have you ever felt attached to him like I did? But behind the stage lights, Hugh carried a storm inside him. He struggled with addiction for many years, a darkness that silently gnawed at the light in the talented young artist. It is said that at a party, Hugh played the guitar and sang a folk song that silenced the room. "He melted hearts," said an extra, but his eyes were always sad. In 1995, at the age of 32, Hugh chose to leave, leaving his father, Carroll O'Connor, and those who loved him with endless grief. Hugh's death was not only a loss for cinema but also a reminder of the fragility of lonely souls. "Every time I see Lonnie on screen, my heart aches for the unfinished business." Hugh O'Connor, a star who died too soon, but will always shine in the hearts of his fans. Carl Weathers brings a strong, charismatic Sheriff Hampton Forbes to In the Heat of the Night. Born January 14, 1948, Carl joined the film at the age of 45 in 1993. Forbes is a commanding yet compassionate leader, with a confident gait and a warm smile. I remember watching him on screen at night, feeling like he brought a sense of stability to Sparta. Were you as fascinated by this star as I was? In real life, Carl faced challenges. Several failed marriages and the pressure to maintain his hero image from Rocky and Predator took a toll. One story I heard, during a shoot, Carl shared with a colleague that he felt trapped between his reputation and his true self. "Sometimes I just want to be myself," he said, his voice full of concern. He was known to be difficult on set, sometimes causing tension, but his talent was undeniable. Carl passed away on February 2, 2024, at the age of 76, from heart disease. He left behind a magnificent legacy, but also a story of a man trying to balance the spotlight with the vulnerability. Every time I watch Forbes, I am reminded of Carl's strength and his quiet pain. Did you ever sense the resilience in his performance?
Well, just say beloved and highly anticipated. People, really well written. Tremendous demand. How could you not want to be a part of it? The name Star Wars, it carries so much weight around the world, and now
Lois Nettleton brought the character of Joanne St. John in the Heat of the Night to life with all her gentleness and kindness. Born on August 16, 1927, she joined the film at the age of 61, bringing the image of a compassionate woman, always present as a spiritual support for those around her. Joanne is not the central character, but her presence is like a gentle light, soothing the souls torn between loss, pressure, and prejudice. I still remember the quiet evenings. Seeing Joanne on the screen was like seeing a mother, a sister, or a friend always quietly by her side. And you, have you ever felt that warmth like me? In real life, Lois has many emotional wounds. Her marriage to writer Jean Shepherd ended in failure, leaving her with many lonely years. Few people know that she had been quietly battling lung cancer, a battle she kept as secretive as her own way of life. It is said that during one filming session, Lois sat quietly reading a book, as if seeking refuge in another world. "She seemed to be hiding from the world," said a colleague. Despite her many losses, Lois still brought emotional roles that always touched the hearts of viewers. She passed away on January 18, 2008, at the age of 80, leaving behind a legacy of gentleness, depth, and quiet courage. Every time I watch Joanne, I am reminded of Lois, a woman who lived gently, but possessed an unshakable inner strength. Margaret Blye delivered a memorable performance in the Heat of the Night as Sheriff Gillespie's girlfriend, a woman who was both strong and vulnerable. Born on October 24, 1939, Margaret joined the film at the age of 49, bringing a sense of experience and gentleness to the role. Her character was not only a spiritual support for Gillespie but also an embodiment of compassion in the tumultuous town of Sparta. Every time she appeared, I felt like a gentle light was creeping into the dark corners of the story. She helped balance the emotions, as if telling the audience that love can still exist in the harshest places. Have you ever felt your heart soften when you saw her on screen? In real life, Margaret also experienced deep pain. Her marriage broke up in the 70s, causing her to fall into depression and face the scrutiny of the media. A colleague recalled that she once brought flowers to each of her cast members on set, a small gesture that carried a big heart. Margaret also struggled with prescription drug addiction, a secret she kept to herself until the end of her life. She died of cancer on March 24, 2016, at the age of 76. Despite her challenging life, she shined through each role, a reminder that true beauty comes from resilience and kindness. Mel Stewart brings to In the Heat of the Night an unforgettable character, Sergeant Calvin Peterson, a man of experience, calm, and wisdom. Born September 19, 1929, Mel joined the film at the age of 61, bringing his experience to the role. Peterson is not loud, not traditionally attractive, but is a rational bulwark in the chaotic city of Sparta. Every time he comes on screen, I feel like a respected elder has just walked into the room, someone you want to listen to, even if just one sentence. He doesn't need to prove anything, just being present is enough. Have you ever felt safe when Peterson appears, as I did? In real life, Mel Stewart struggled with many challenges. Conflicts with his children caused a rift in his family relationship. He also fought alcoholism, a silent demon that destroyed his soul. One story tells of how he once made the studio laugh with a witty joke, then quietly withdrew, as if hiding his deep sadness. He lived in his own world, said a colleague. In his later years, Alzheimer's disease slowly took away his memories. Mel Stewart died on February 24, 2002, at the age of 72. His life was a journey of suffering, but the character he left behind remains a symbol of patience and compassion, a quiet teacher in the midst of the storm. Do you ever feel heartache for such talent obscured by darkness? Ted Manson brought a special nuance to In the Heat of the Night as Elmer, a character who is eccentric, lovable, and brings laughter amid the tension of the story. Born on October 23, 1926, Ted joined the film when he was 63 years old. Elmer was like a small but bright ray of light, making the audience feel warm and comfortable every time he appeared. I remember clearly the evenings watching him on screen, feeling like meeting a funny friend who always knew how to soothe the soul. Have you ever loved Elmer's eccentric but genuine personality like I did? In real life, Ted was not without challenges and storms. He went through many failed marriages, and his erratic personality sometimes made him isolated. One touching story I heard, Ted gave a young actor a book about acting with the message, "Love this profession, but don't let it consume you." Despite his dedication to his craft, he often had conflicts on set and struggled with alcoholism, which greatly affected his career. Ted passed away on June 1, 2008, at the age of 81, quietly leaving the spotlight. His life is a testament to a talent that was overshadowed by personal mistakes. Every time I watch Elmer, I think of Ted, a resilient man, trying to leave his mark despite a thorny path. Have you ever been moved by small but impressive roles like this? As I wrote this script, I remembered those evenings when my family would gather around in the heat of the night, laughing and reflecting. Have you ever had such moments? These stars, though gone, live on in our memories. They reminded us that life, even when it is challenging, is worth living. Let's pay tribute to them, the storytellers who brought joy, sadness, and life lessons. When you watch the film again, smile and remember the old days, the moments that made up our childhood and youth. Share, who was your favorite character? And continue to love, continue to live, as these stars did, with all your heart.